Asia CEO is really a sought-after brand and recognition among the private sector.
I work abroad as an OFW, and I've seen the experience of how Filipino were treated that time. So I always thought of creating an event someday to really recognize Filipinos and also market Philippines.
Let's present Philippines in a positive light. And the goal is expand your business, start your business, move your business to Philippines, hire Filipinos. They're good people to work with, and you'll do well. That's the goal.
Way back when we were the poorer or sick country of Asia, and now if you take a look at, for example, the BPO industry, we're number one in the world. There's a lot of potential for the country, and if we are really going to see fruition that we are going to be one of the top economies by 2050, I think it is very important for us to really pool our resources together.
And we always believe from the beginning that this association was the right medium, the right structure, and the right outfit to really put the Philippine business community on top of the agenda for the Filipino people and also for the international community.
Well, it gives me a fantastic insight in terms of how broad the industries are and how many different types of successes that are contributing to the growth and inclusive growth of this nation.
We have to create a future where our next generation of talent and leaders is prepared for all of the new opportunities that will present themselves.
Asia CEO Forum is very unique because it is more than any other forum emphasizing that this is about nation building.
Economic growth is a very wide subject, and Asia CEO Forum always find the right angle with the right topic at the right time to talk about, and that's why there is such attraction to these events.
They connect people, but they also create a platform for transfer of best practices, best knowledge.
I believe in the vision of Richard and Rebecca. I think they have this vision to help make the Philippines a first world country in 2030.
And with our partnership together, I know that we're achieving a lot of things.
Thank you for what you're doing. We applaud your efforts. We're proud and happy to be your partners.
We encourage other companies to join in and be a sponsor, and I'm very, very sure that they'll find it worthwhile.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care either.
I don't care if you're male or female.
I don't care if you're rich or poor.
I don't care if you're a millennial or a senior.
I don't care if you're straight or LGBTQ.
If you're a single parent or a working student.
Or if you have a disability.
I don't care what your ethnic background is.
Or your level.
Or your religion.
But I do care about your well-being.
I care about your health.
I care about your career development.
I do care about you being treated as an equal.
About you feeling valued.
About you being included.
I care that you are recognized for doing good work.
That you are accepted for who you are.
That you feel at home here at Teletech.
I care.
I care.
We all care.
About you.
Bio oil made my pregnancy go by with one less thing to worry about. I didn't get a single stretch mark. The skin on my swollen belly was smooth and beautiful the whole way through.
Please welcome Father William Bustamante, Parish Priest, Ina ng Laging Saklolo, Tagaytay City, to lead us with the invocation.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God Almighty, Lord of all creation, you have created each one of us according to your image and likeness. We recognize and praise your goodness, for just like you, we also possess in us the creativity and power which you manifested when you brought us all to life. We thank you for blessing each one of us with manifold talents and gifts, which are expressions of your excellence and majesty. Grant us your grace to discover and be grateful for the talents and contribution of everybody. Fill us with vigor and enthusiasm in sharing our individual capacities. Help us to cherish the presence and company of one another in our workplace. Enkindle love and care in us as we perform our duties and responsibilities. Bestow upon us your wisdom in all our endeavors and decisions. Let the spirit of cooperation and concern bind us in all our undertakings. May we grow in a relationship with one another as we work together towards our highest limits for your greater glory. With hearts full of thanksgiving, we send this prayer to you, through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, with the Holy Spirit, God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Good morning. In today's business environment, diversity is about more than gender, race, and ethnicity. Here, senior leaders speak about inclusion strategies, common challenges, and future opportunities in establishing your organization as world-class. Welcome to Asia Diversity Forum 2021 Online Edition.
Diversity is such a big part of our culture.
Instead of seeing our disability, they should see disability.
We leverage best practices on diversity and inclusion to build and create client relationships and make an impact to the world.
Representation matters. On a societal level, it can affect a lot of cultural socialization. On a personal level, vitally important to self-image, confidence, regeneration.
And we welcome diversity by adopting employment practices that promote equal opportunity for all.
Diversity, as we've been saying, is opening up business opportunities.
We value the unique skills and talents that each individual contributes to the team.
It's part of our core mission to put diversity and inclusion at the forefront.
People of all color, caste, religion, ethnicity, people from various parts of the world speaking different language, they were all working in harmony.
Disability doesn't mean inability, because who's to say what someone can accomplish unless they're given the opportunity to prove themselves?
I'm David Bernal.
I'm Claire Abejo.
I'm Jeiz Robles.
I'm Dr. Gisela Sarmiento.
I'm Gauri Sharma.
I'm Erin Wallace.
I'm Claire Alfonso.
My name is Parul Mehta.
Oh, my name is Jessica Cox.
And I'm inviting you.
I'm inviting you.
And I'm inviting you.
And I am inviting you.
I'm inviting you.
And I'm inviting everyone
to join us
for the Asia
Diversity Forum
2021.
That's on September 16th
at 10:30 in the morning.
We'll be streaming live
at Asia
CEO Forum
Facebook page.
I'll see you there.
Asia Diversity Forum 2021 is presented by TTEC, Bio Oil, with major sponsors Multisys and Regis. Please welcome Mr. Richard Mills.
Welcome everyone to Asia Diversity Forum 2021 and diversity and inclusion. This has really become an issue at the forefront, and all organizations, public sector, private sector, need to be not just serious about it, but really at the forefront with it. The opportunities are tremendous, and there's risks. Young people today get really upset if they hear that their organizations might not be as fair or as forward-thinking about their friends who might be people with disabilities, LGBTQ people, women in management. These kinds of things need to be, very much at the forefront. So really glad to have you. And we want to get you really up to speed on everything that you can do with your own organizations to promote these issues and bring your organization and your own careers forward. So we have speakers from literally across the world. I'm surprised too, but there's just so much interest in these issues. So glad to have you for Asia Diversity Forum 2021, and let's get going. Let's get going with our first speaker is David Bernal. He is the Executive Director and Regional Lead of Teletech. So he is the top guy with this organization. This is one of the nation's largest employers, 25,000 people upwards employed in Philippines. So Philippines is a big, big thing for this global organization. They have really done fantastic work in this country, has been a leader since the beginning, and they came to us to develop this diversity, equity, and inclusion event. So it's only fitting that they should start, and we're pleased to have David as the main guy at Teletech. It shows you how diversity, equity, and inclusion is such an important thing for them. Please welcome David Bernal of Teletech. Very nice to have you, David.
Thank you, Richard. Hi, everyone. My name is David Bernal. I'm the Regional Director of Teletech's Philippine Operations, and welcome to Asia Diversity Forum. This year, we're once again excited to partner with Asia CEO as we all embark in a journey towards diversity and inclusion in the workplace. In Teletech, diversity is such a big part of our culture. We have a lot of employees and leaders who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community. We've got senior citizens, we've got persons with disabilities who are veterans, and the list goes on. And these employees work together to create a better environment and atmosphere for the company. It's also a way for Teletech to show that we care for our employees and we provide equal opportunities for all. Once again, thank you for joining and taking part in this forum, and we hope that you will be able to take away some key learnings that you will be able to provide to your organization as we continue to promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace.
Thank you very much, David. Yes, that's an interesting story, and please, like I say to you guys always, is keep up the great work you're doing. We look forward to seeing all your success for the future. Thank you again, David. Our next speaker is Claire Abajo, and I was just talking with her, and just a wonderful, sweet person. And she has a very special story that is personal for her within her organization of Teletech, the experience and how an organization really can champion and empower people who might have special situations and really make them blossom both within their own organization and for them in their lives. So, a special message. Please welcome Claire Abajo of Teletech.
Hi, I'm Claire Abejo, and I'm a senior specialist from ID management in Teletech. I've been working here since 2010, and I'm really excited to be part of this summit. And it's actually a good thing that we're doing this virtually because you might not be able to see me on stage. My story began when I was born in 1990. At the time, medical technology was not that advanced yet, and they only diagnosed that I had a medical condition after I was delivered. They diagnosed me with diaphragmatic hernia, so my heart was enlarged and my intestines were wrapped around it. And they had to perform an immediate surgery 2 hours after I was delivered. I was 11 months old when I had the laminectomy, so they had to drain water from my spine. I still have that condition today where my spine did not grow as normal. Then I was 2 years old when I had clubfoot reconstruction, so I can walk properly. I'm quite petite sized, so these are the reasons why I'm so cute today. As I was growing up, even though I did not actually grow, I began to realize that I was different. Other kids were looking at me differently. I could not do what other kids do or other people can do. Playing and running is really challenging for me. Kids would stare at me and call me names like dwarf or pandak or midget, but I just shrugged it off. But even if it was hard for me to run around like other kids, I did not let that stop me. I still participated in games at school like Tumbang Peso, Patintero, Langit Lupa. I always lose, but it's okay. At least I experienced it. The most memorable experience for me was when I applied for my first job at Teletech in 2010. I was a bit scared, but I think my parents were even more terrified for me when they found out. I actually did not tell them that I applied because I knew that they might discourage me since they are very protective. But I really wanted to help my family financially. My father is already retired, and I wanted to provide medical health care for both my parents. Getting a job for the very first time was an amazing experience. It was intimidating at first. Simple things like taking a tricycle and jeepney to work on my own and getting interviewed for the very first time. But I quickly got used to it. I was a bit nervous about meeting my office mates, but I immediately felt at home here at Teletech on the very first day. I knew I was different, but I never felt that from my co-trainees and my trainer. As far as everyone is concerned, we are all the same new hires, excited to start taking calls and experiencing this. Being independent also made me realize that there are so many things that I needed to discover. I learned new things. I started going on road trips, partying, and I even rode my first plane ride going to Palawan. I also experienced ziplining for the very first time when I was still an agent. After 2 years as a frontline associate, I got promoted as a workforce specialist, and after 3 years, I got another promotion to my current role as a senior specialist in ID management. That's how fast you can progress with your career here at Teletech. It doesn't matter if you're a member of the LGBTQ community, if you're a man or a woman, your religion, your age, your physical abilities, none of that matters. All that matters is you can get the job done. Honestly, Teletech changed my life. I have an opportunity to have a decent job with a decent pay. And if weren't for this opportunity, I don't know what I would be doing. Since most companies here in the Philippines still discriminate against PWDs, which is still unfortunate because we can do what most white-collar employees can do. Sometimes even better. My message for the companies here is to change their mindset. Instead of seeing our disability, they should see disability. For other differently abled individuals like me, I encourage you to take a leap of faith. Get out of your comfort zone. and try new things. If I allowed myself my fears to get the best of me, I would not be enjoying the benefits and the career that I have today. Thankfully, there are companies like Teletech who provide equal opportunities regardless of gender, race, religion, age, or physical abilities. Just try it. There's nothing to lose. If you fail, that's okay. The important thing is you tried. Before I end, I want to take this opportunity to thank the people who helped me on my journey. I want to thank my sister Terry and her husband Polly, because they actually introduced me to Teletech since they worked here first. I want to thank my close friends and colleagues at Teletech for the friendship. There are so many of you, so I can't really mention you one by one. To my supervisors and managers, thank you for the motivation and the leadership and the opportunities. And of course, my parents who literally fought to keep me alive. To my dad who always drive me to work whenever I have problems commuting, and to saving me from frogs every day. And to my mom for making sure that I eat before I go to work and still taking care of me when I'm sick, even though I'm a grown adult now. I love you both so much. Thank you for the support. Now it's my turn. There are still a lot of things that I want to experience in life. One of these days, once the pandemic is done, I would really like to go bungee jumping. Yeah, I know it's scary, but unless you do the things that scares you, you cannot say that you have truly lived your life to the fullest. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all a life full of wonderful experiences.
Okay, Claire, talk about empowerment. That is an empowered and aspirational person. So this is what, if you do your diversity and inclusion processes right, you can have people like Claire working for your organization. And what organization would not want to have people like her working for them? So thank you again, Claire Abajo, with your moving story. Okay, our next speaker, we are very pleased to have this just wonderfully pleasant person, Jeiz Robles. She is the Asia Pacific Marketplace Diversity Leader, is the full title, for IBM. And of course, everybody knows IBM, but you might not know that they're such a large and progressive employer in the Philippines with close to 12,000 people, and certainly have been an early and very important leader in the industry. So really pleased to have Jeiz Robles. She has been a leader in the industry for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So please take it away, Jeiz, and we're so pleased to have you.
Thank you so much, Richard, and it's a pleasure to be here standing in front of you today. If there's one thing among others I love about IBM, it's how they allow me to make my, what I say, gay job, my day job. In my work, we leverage IBM's best practices on diversity and inclusion to build and create client relationships and make an impact to the world. So today, I'd like to share with you how IBM Philippines has been leading through inclusion and leave some bits of practical knowledge on how everyone else can go to the same path. IBM has had a long history when it comes to diversity and inclusion, before it even became popular. In 1953, then IBM CEO Thomas Watson Jr. signed the first corporate equality opportunity letter, the first in the US, which states, it is the policy of this organization to hire regardless of race, color, or creed, eventually adding sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, and genetic makeup to that policy. And what we really learned in terms of continuing this progress was understanding the power of DEI. Most will call this the business case, and while we want the world to move away from D&I making business sense as our justification for what we want to accomplish, the world is just not there yet, at least on this side of the world. Inclusion allows us to be the very best version of us, and it contributes to the business. Brands with high diversity scores shown to have been preferred by customers 83% of the time. It increases revenue from innovation, positively impacts employee retention by more than double, which reduces the cost for attrition, and the list goes on. Yet, most importantly, the best employee experience incorporates inclusion into the mix, and fulfilled employees make satisfied clients, no doubt. The conversation continues in terms of the business case and the opportunity cost of not being inclusive, because while diversity is a fact due to differences in identities and background employees have, inclusion is the action to enable an organization to have people of diverse backgrounds belong. Because in neuroscience, exclusion is said to be as painful as physical pain. Can you imagine potentially while your colleague may not be physically in pain, their brain activity is reacting similarly when they feel excluded? And so this is why, as we shared on IBM's 2020 Diversity and Inclusion Report, which is available to everyone, easily Googleable, we are channeling everything we have been learning into outcome-oriented strategic areas, which include allyship, or making every IBMer an upstander through inclusive behavior, advocacy, inclusive employee experience, and of course, accountability. Our senior leaders are held accountable by use of our D&I Optimizer, an analytical tool that harnesses data and creates transparency within organizations, ensuring targets are clear for our leaders and that these contribute to their annual performance appraisals. All IBMers are expected to be allies. Be Equal Allyship, for example, is our endeavor to expand, enable, and ensure equality for everyone. This program, associated with the skill badge, requires practical experience to earn it and entails joining at least 2 communities to demonstrate a holistic sense of allyship. One must have the experience of being an ally to be called Be Equal Ally. When it comes to inclusion, it is important to set the stage. And IBM's best practice around this revolve around harnessing diversity of thought by listening to each IBMer. I couldn't highlight more how the last year and a half have been difficult for all of us. With IBM's experience in remote work globally, it has been relatively less challenging transition operationally to work from home, but this major shift had a huge impact on the employees' experiences. So one of the first things IBM did was design a work from home pledge. Through the power of the employee voice, a group of IBMers developed the pledge virtually to ensure that the company addressed the extenuating circumstances emerging from this pandemic. As you can see from this pledge, certain themes resonate strongly, like empathy, flexibility, respect, communication, and emotional wellness. It's a visual representations leaders need to promote during a crisis, as each of us respond differently to this pandemic. In addition, shortly after, our CEO announced the development of the Embrace Pledge as a way to actively demonstrate our support for the Black community, which was much needed at that time. And what demonstrates the power of IBM Voice best is this series of jams that IBM has hosted through the Innovation Jam platform. Last January, IBM held a Women's Leadership Innovation Jam, inviting everyone, as in everyone even outside IBM, around the world, and identified 6 call to actions companies must pursue to advance gender equality in the workplace. These were chat conversations happening digitally, where our VPs were talking to practitioners and anybody from different backgrounds. And those 6 call to actions included, first, help women maintain work-life balance to help them with their careers. Second, we have to understand the impact of gender bias. Third, we must empower women of color. Fourth, train men to be allies. Fifth, use technology to reduce discrimination. And lastly, make STEM careers more accessible and inclusive. And the Global LGBT+ Jam also happened, and it contributed to a research entitled Striving for Authenticity, which is available to everyone, where it also provided 4 practical steps organizations should be taking. Leadership is an essential part in leading through a crisis, and during this time, it is extremely important to be inclusive leaders. IBM's Be Equal page will highlight steps to be an inclusive leader, but key things that we have to make sure we are providing to our employees during this time are equal access to technology for all, which also means equitable virtual meetings. We had to make sure that our digital platforms like WebEx, Mural, Slack, and the like are accessible to our PWD and neurodiverse employees. We had to make sure that we activated features that they needed that weren't there before. Proactively applying conscious inclusion on top of mitigating unconscious bias, and exhibiting compassion in all circumstances, most importantly, recognizing everyone through inclusive language in day-to-day interactions. As leaders, I urge all of us to examine if our pandemic responses cover these too, and how do these really translate into programs and policies for us in the country? A lot of ways, but some notable ones include DEI pioneering programs from years for IBM, which include milk delivery service for new mothers, tech re-entry, which recognizes gaps in resumes aren't necessarily bad, equal benefits for LGBT plus partners, gender affirmation treatment coverage, therapy for PWD dependents, and various community interventions like PTEC mentoring, Girls Who Code, Computer Eyes, and more. The employees of IBM represent a talented, diverse workforce, and achieving the full potential of this diversity is a business priority that is fundamental to our competitive success. And I urge all of us to start our own ally ventures, educate ourselves, speak up, upstand, and ask, what can your level of influence do to make your workplace more inclusive? Thank you very much.
That was an exceptional presentation, attractive and well delivered. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Richard.
Our next speaker is Dr. Gisela Sarmiento. She is President Medical Director of Skeen Face and Body Anti-Aging Centers and an entrepreneur. It's nice to see, people starting and growing operations, and certainly aesthetics, healthcare, skincare, these are growing businesses with no end in sight. So please welcome Dr. Gisela with her story. So glad to have you, Gisela.
Good day. I'm going to discuss about diversity in skincare. And why is a good skincare important? It helps your skin stay in good condition. Your skin will look more youthful as your cells shed on a daily basis. It'll reveal the fresher layer. Prevention is easier than correction. When there's problems at this particular stage, it's less costly than trying to fix them in the future. Your self-confidence will get a boost if you have a very, very good clear skin. Let's start with skincare in women. So female beauty is multidimensional regardless of beauty. And the most common right now that a lot of women are using is the Korean 10-step skincare. It's designed to target specific skincare concerns with natural inventive ingredients packing and designed to achieve a flawless complexion. Now we have the oil-based cleansers, the water-based cleanser to remove the dirt and impurities, the toner that repairs skin natural barrier, and the essence that is lightweight, that is for hydration, the emulsion that is locking in the goodness of the prior steps, and you can choose either an ampule or serum that is a booster for ampule and a serum that targets specific skin concerns like wrinkles. A sheet mask is also used as an essence that is prolonging for face contact, and an ice cream wherein the eyes are the thinnest in the area and can keep away dark circles and puffiness. A moisturizer like a gel for oily skin, a cream for dry skin, and a sunscreen. Now, the result is really great, but let's be honest, most women and men do not have time for this, right? And do you really have the patience to do all of this? Now, I developed a skip care routine wherein it involves careful selection of only the multitasking and hardworking products that are effective and addresses the specific need. These are innovative products that gives benefit of a full regimen with none of the actual 10 extra steps. So skincare method that allows to identify essential ingredients, only the essential thing that is keeping it more realistic and manageable, and one will actually do it consistently to yield a better and appreciated result. Now, for us to be able to find the right product, follow this particular mantra: pharmaceutical grade, high performance, high quality grade, product effectiveness against a specific problem established through rigorous laboratory testing, product that is manufactured in sterile condition, and collaboration with dermatologists. Now, better delivery of ingredients with a superior delivery technology like a nanotechnology, patented ingredients with a more thorough approach, and it effectively addresses the needs of consumers who need targeted solutions. Of course, for both men and women, a healthy lifestyle that was customized skincare routine suited to one's skin type. Now, what about the skincare for men? Again, male beauty is also multidimensional and multicultural. Do men really care about their skincare? The industry explored the demand for beauty products that are developed and created for men. We recognize now the need for products that are specific to men's skincare needs. These products may include smells that are not overtly feminine, and they are developed, marketed, and branded specifically for men's beauty, hygiene, and self-care. So more men are now pursuing healthier, younger-looking skin. They should identify and understand their skin type so that they will select the right skincare products. Sensitive skin may sting or burn. Normal skin is clear, not sensitive. The dry skin is flaky, itchy, or rough. Oily skin is shiny and greasy, and combination is dry in other areas, oily in others. So men to have oily skin because they have testosterone as their hormones, right? So there's always this mantra that no one size fits all approach to skincare. If you're in doubt, approach a dermatologist. Now we want to keep it a simple skincare regimen for men. Cleanse. Instead of soap, we trade it for a cleanser because the soap can contain harsh ingredients. Repair, like for anti-aging, for anti-wrinkle, and of course moisturization and protect. We can do it all in one blow for a particular male. A sunscreen that has a moisturizer already. Now you have to soften your stubble because one easy trick is to shave in the shower right after stepping out. You can also use a shaving cream because you might develop a razor bumps or ingrown hair that are irritated hair follicles. So stick with a single or double blade. Avoid pulling stretched skin while shaving. Shave with a grain. And if you've used 5 to 7 shaves minimum, you can now discard your blades. Now, the scents don't make sense amongst men. You can develop an allergic reaction, which is a most common type of culprit, and that is the fragrance. And this particular contact dermatitis may ensue, which is allergic reaction, and you have to consult your dermatologist about this. We also consider ethnicity. African American have more ingrown hair, so we recommend them not to shave but use depilatory cream instead. Asian Hispanics, they have irregular skin pigmentation, should be careful on sun exposure and add the skin brightening product. Now, let's go to skincare for LGBTQ. Family, what are some of the biggest dermatology concerns amongst this community? We recognize important dermatology concerns, and emerging data have begun to build awareness in skin health disparities among the LGBTQ communities. They show higher risk for skin cancer and indoor tanning in some gays and bisexual men. So there's specific acne and hair-related issues in transgender person undergoing gender affirmation. So as dermatologists, how do we address their needs? We give them a welcoming environment. We routinely collect information about sexual orientation and gender identity information. Understand patients and their specific skin health concerns and learn about any of these concerns. Proactive steps to show respect towards patient, increase visibility and help to embrace new consumers and the demand for gender fluid products. And we explore the link between individuality and the gender spectrum. Now, the transgender going male to female, they always go through a lot of changes, both physically and chemically. So there's masculinizing hormone with testosterone therapy. They get to have acne, and they get to have keloid and scarring as well. Now, feminizing hormone therapy may cause to have persistent facial hirsutism and pseudofolliculitis bulbae. So we also help them in that particular accord. Seeking genital surgery, they get to have this hair, so we give them also laser hair removal. Now, what are some of the specific issues facing transgender individuals that can be addressed with the dermatological treatment before, during, after the transition? We find them perfect skincare routine, and it is often celebrated as a commitment to self-care, finally leading them to getting it right. It's actually challenging and rewarding to help patients navigate still on the FDA-approved products. Working with multidisciplinary care team to ensure safety and to address transition care goals. And of course, we wanted brands that cater to the trans community in general, with a specific targeted research to help find them a better skincare solution. So, skincare tips that I can give to them. The true cliche is that you are what you eat. Junk foods will, of course, harm your skin. If you get to use superfoods, that will really, really be good. Eye bags, you have to stop it. Stay hydrated, get a good night's sleep. Concealers and foundation can also make the trick. Now, for a baby smooth regimen for some of our LGBTQ, it's simple. Give them facial wash or exfoliate. A micellar water makeup remover for the concealers, a toner in accord to their skin type, just like man or female, and then the serums with active ingredients for whitening or for anti-aging, of course, a moisturizer and a broad spectrum sunscreen. Now, for a dry skin and stretch mark, which is a daily common problem in almost all individuals around the globe, all right, this is anatomy of your skin, wherein you get to have very much many layers of the skin, wherein you wanted the natural moisturizing factor and the second layer of the skin, the dermis, to be kept intact. But as they are being
is dissipated, so you get to have a dry skin. This is what we call atopic dermatitis, wherein your natural moisturizing factors are already evaporating. So you get to have all of this heterogeneous, which lacks uniformity on the skin layering. You get to have all of this dryness, itchiness, and dry skin sits on top of another dry skin. And these are the trigger factors: irritants, clothing, animals, pets, stress, food, and of course, it's also genetic. Now, I often use a particular product that I really trust, one that is power-packed with more oils and butters and waxes and humectants and waters, and has been found to be very, very good in treating sensitive skin. So we treat it with chicken skin. This is like a keratosis pilaris, atopic dermatitis, and I found this bio oil to be a very, very good product, even for atopic skin and skin darkening on axillary areas, both male and female, even for LGBTQ, even for stretch mark, which is the broken collagen layer. And you can see this, that just after 8 weeks, it has proven a very, very good result. All right, before and after, and some of the dry skin, and we're very, very much happy with the result. Now, my take-home message is that the importance of diversity in the beauty community is that representation matters. On a societal level, it can affect a lot of cultural socialization. On a personal level, vitally important to self-image, confidence, regeneration. Now, representation and diversity is really vital to the beauty industry, not just on the dermatologic industry. Disrupting the Eurocentric and heteronormative beauty standards, wherein you just don't go on the usual that is the most common. All right, we're not on the stereotypical. An inclusive approach caters to a wider market, also offers opportunity to use products that are specifically targeted to the different needs of the consumers. My pearls on skincare: pick it and stick to it. Give skincare a fair shot. You have to give them time to work their charm. Make sure you do it consistently. Be persistent and diligent. Be in the know for updates, and also study the science behind this particular product. It's better to have a medical evidence-based product as you use this. Alright, the studies on these products, and a healthy lifestyle and exercise, the most natural way to get rid of toxins and get in shape. With that, I thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Gisela. I'm sure we're all going to look prettier for the future. So thank you again. That was Dr. Gisela Sarmiento. Our next speaker, we're very pleased to have with us Gauri Sharma. She is the HR head of CGI. This is a large global tech organization with a very good reputation, I must say. And Gauri is a long-term person within Philippines. She's been here for 9 years, I think going on 10 or so. She's raised her family here. So she seems to have really taken to Philippines and Filipinos, and certainly talks highly of them. So really pleased to have Gauri with us. Welcome, Gauri. We're so pleased to have you.
Thanks so much for a great welcome. I'll just start with what we are doing in CGI on the DE&I aspect. So in CGI, diversity, equity, inclusion are driven by our core value of respect. We recognize the richness that different cultures bring to our company, and we welcome diversity by adopting employment practices that promote equal opportunity for all. By valuing DE&I as an integral part of the way we do business, we take affirmative steps to enhance employment opportunities for minorities, women, and individuals with disabilities. In the Philippines, we have a long-standing commitment to maintain a team of professionals reflective of the communities in which we operate, and we are incredibly proud to have refined our strategic goals to highlight gender parity in the workplace. So as of July of 2021, our current workforce is over 1,300 with a balance ratio of 50-50. This balance is also achieved in various career levels in the organization, where we have VP plus at 67% and 58% are female management members. Additionally, a little more than 120 of our professionals employed in the Philippines come from different parts of the globe. 30% of them are in various managerial levels and leadership positions. Now, to assess our program on the inclusion aspect, we track the scores from Member Satisfaction Assessment Program, which is held yearly for each employee, particularly on the question of being treated with respect. We have consistently achieved an upward trend. So as of June of 2021, we stand at a score of 9.09 on a scale of 10. These scores are the result of the policies and programs we have implemented throughout the years, and that demonstrate how we are working together to build a more diverse and inclusive organization. And to share some of these include strict adherence to our internal policies, such as equal employment opportunity, anti-harassment, and anti-discrimination guidelines. Our managers are also complete unconscious bias training to help them become inclusive leaders by overcoming organizational biases. We encourage members to declare eligible domestic partners of any gender as dependents to our health insurance programs. We ensure that our facilities cater to all individuals by adding gender-neutral and PWD comfort rooms in all our offices. We empower our female members by providing benefits that help them fulfill their responsibilities to the organization in the same way as enabling them to perform their roles in their respective families. An additional coverage for maternity benefit is included in our health insurance, and vaccines against cervical cancer for female members are provided from time to time. In our office, we also encourage using our lactation rooms to accommodate more lactating mothers. Now, to talk more about the Women of CGI, our global Women of CGI network aims to support the overall success of women in our organization through programs and initiatives that offer personal and professional development, foster talent at CGI, create networking opportunities for all professionals, and enable collaboration with local, national, and external networks. We also celebrate our women professionals by highlighting their stories, contributions, and achievements in line with International Women's Month in March. We also use this opportunity to create global and local activities designed to remind and inspire our clients, professionals, and stakeholders the importance of empowerment in the workplace and express appreciation for the work and commitment that each individual can bring to the organization. Now, as part of Pride at CGI, our continued efforts to ensure a safe and empowering environment for our professionals, we organize a series of Pride activities in June to highlight and celebrate the culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Through video testimonials, we highlighted the stories of our professionals who are members of the LGBTQ+ community to help raise awareness regarding equity and equality in the workplace. Topics included coming out, gender equality, community support, and the importance of a diverse talent pool for innovation and creativity. Our professionals also participated as panelists in a Pride talk, a talk that highlighted LGBTQ+ stories, challenges, and goals for inclusion. We recently became a member of Philippine Financial and Inter-Industry Pride Organization to support LGBTQ+ rights in the Philippines. A webinar was conducted that focused on how diversity, equity, and inclusivity are imperative to success. As part of our Pride Month celebration, we launched a local member resource group called Pride at Philippines Global Delivery Center, where our LGBTQ+ professionals and allies can freely network and collaborate to further promote DE&I awareness and equal opportunities in the workplace. In addition to various local activities, our Philippines LGBTQ+ professionals and allies are active participants to CGI's year-round global initiatives, including panel discussions and workshops. We are highly involved in a global counterpart of Pride at PGDC called Pride at CGI, a group that works to foster a welcoming and inclusive environment for our professionals, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identities, and gender expressions. Our LGBTQ+ professionals and allies serve as a role model and help define tools for leaders at all levels in the company to support their LGBTQ+ colleagues. Now, we also provide an empowering workplace for our disabled. We are committed to ensuring a safe, welcome, and accessible environment that respects the dignity, independence, integration, and equal opportunity of people with disabilities. In the Philippines, we employ persons with disabilities and ensure that our workplace and PWD professionals are equipped for a unified atmosphere through seminars, facility improvement in all CGI offices, and other activities. In collaboration with National Council of Disability Affairs, we continue to organize PWD awareness and sensitivity learning sessions for all our leaders and professionals to understand how we can transform the perception of disability from constraint to social opportunities. Through innovation, we continue to seek ways in improving the experience of hiring managers and PWD professionals for a more empowering workplace that will strengthen the business and professionals' career growth. Indeed, DE&I is not just another global initiative that we just write in our business plan and strategies, but it is an imperative, not just one DE&I champion, but by every one of us who believe that our CGI value of respect is the bottom line of any DE&I activity. And once we manifest this value, we all become champions of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Gauri. And yeah, keep up the great work you're doing with CGI. Thanks again. Our next speaker, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee in the USA, is Erin Wallace. She is the Chief Diversity Officer of Sitel, and we're so pleased to have her. I know sometimes diversity and inclusion is considered one of these back office, nice to have things, but with this company, this is clearly one of their front and center priorities, and that's why they so enthusiastically wanted to have their Global Chief Diversity Officer with us. So we're really pleased to have her. Sitel, if you don't know, for some reason, this is certainly one of the nation's largest employers and most progressive employers as well. So please welcome Erin Wallace of Sitel. So glad to have you, Erin.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to everyone. I thought what I would do today is just talk a little bit about our journey at Sitel as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so you'll see here that we're talking about the strategy that we've implemented here at Sitel, and it's really a roadmap of where we're going, what we're going to be doing associated with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And my ID stands for My Inclusion and Diversity, and that is really our branding around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We use it both internally and externally, and it's great for just making additional connection to that diversity strategy. Sitel Group is an outsourcing organization with 100,000 employees globally. We recently completed the acquisition of Sykes, which will actually take our organization to 155,000 employees globally. And this acquisition will make Sitel the third largest BPO organization in the market. And BPO is business process optimization, also known as outsourcing. And we're excited about our next steps and this integration and furthering our diversity, equity, and inclusion footprint. So we have a long journey to go, but we're really excited about it. So at Sitel, we really pride ourselves on our values. Our values are be bold, build trust, work together, and wow customers. And as we talk about DEI, it's really important to include our values in that conversation. The point here is that our values are really these words and statements that are associated with how we operate as a business. And so that's something that we can always chase, and it really captures the essence of who we are and who we want our culture to be and what we want our culture to be. And so as we talk today, we're going to be focusing a lot on not just diversity, but also inclusiveness. So of course, as an organization, it's also important to connect our DEI initiatives to our growing business. And I'd like to just share a few of these points with you today, just simply because it's really important to make those connections. So the first couple here are driving business and fueling innovation. And there's been quite a bit of research that suggests that diversity really unlocks innovation and drives market growth. And there's an organization called McKinsey & Company that says companies with higher executive level gender diversity are 21% more likely to outperform their peers in EBIT margins. And those numbers will just continue to grow as you diversify. We know that this is also important to our customers. Diversity, as we've been seeing, is opening up business opportunities. It's given me personally an opportunity to interface with our clients. And we're also learning about how other organizations are doing diversity, equity, and inclusion and how they are creating this platform within their organizations. And even we often add, we think about, socially, what does this mean? Also the piece of justice. And then they also expect a response. So what are we doing? And we're really lucky at Sitel that we have so many amazing associates globally that find a passion in this space. We know that it attracts and retains our best employees. So today's applicants really care about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I was recently on doing an interview with a candidate, and the candidate said, the only reason I'm talking to you is I've been able to see the difference that you're making not just for the group that I associate with, but for others as well. So it really makes us better at what we do, but it also creates a different experience, a candidate experience and an employee experience. So really important to connect that. And then of course it improves our communities. We're really lucky to have a corporate social responsibility team, and we partner with them really closely to ensure that the involvement is happening. It's not really about compliance. It's really about treating this opportunity to attract and retain our customers, expand our products, increase our sales. There's so many other reasons to do this. So this slide is something that I really love, and it really resonates with me, and it resonates with our employees, and it also resonates with our customers. And it's really about why do we care about this topic of belonging? And what that means is it's the end game of DEI to us. If we can do diversity right, if we can do inclusion right, we'll really be in the best state for our associates to bring their authentic selves to work every day. We want our employees to come to work so they can really find a place where they belong and do their best work. We've broken our strategy down into 3 categories, which is our organizational culture, reinforcing our infrastructure, and creating personal accountability. And so under each of those things, we've sort of outlined the things that we want to accomplish. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is not a one-stop shop. It's really this ongoing journey where we continue to expand, we continue to educate to make sure that we're doing the things that we've said we've done, and we continue to expand that. And then we also have roles and responsibilities. So at Sitel, what we did was we really made a point to talk about this platform really doesn't work without our leadership standing behind it. We are creating diversity council that will have oversight of our diversity, equity, and inclusion platform. And also it's important to just talk about that HR as part of the organization is not the only department with a role in diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not just an individual effort either. We really need to take a step back and really identify the responsibilities at a holistic level for some of the different functional groups. And so HR is the culture architect, but everyone has a part to play in this. And with that, that is our Sitel journey mapping. I would love to answer any questions. If anyone has any questions that they'd like answered, please feel free to reach out to me at erin.wallace@sitel.com. Thank you so much to the Asia Diversity Forum and just allowing me to be a part of driving awareness globally.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Erin. Our next speaker, and kind of a highlight in my opinion, is Claire Alfonso. She's the Vice President Service Delivery of Concenctrix. This is the nation's largest private sector employer with 100,000 Filipinos working. She has a large group and a lot of responsibility. So we're really interested to hear what Concenctrix is doing about diversity and inclusion. Please welcome Claire Alfonso.
Hi, Richard. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's really an honor and truly exciting experience for me to be sharing with you what Concenctrix stands for and how do we work around our projects and interventions, and how do we inculcate diversity, equity, and inclusion in the Concenctrix culture. Our vision is to be the greatest customer engagement services company in the world, rich in diversity and talent. Respect for diversity, equal opportunity, and freedom from discrimination are 3 key principles that's explicitly stated in our policy. Anyone that joins Concenctrix on day 1 is already abreast of those 3 principles. We also make sure that there's a lot of representation and no discrimination practices inside Concenctrix. Our recruiting processes is skill-based profile. There's standards assessment. There's an equal number of male and female recruiters so that we protect against gender bias. Recruiters are trained in disability awareness, which I'm very passionate about, inclusive hiring strategies to ensure that the recruitment process is accessible and conducive to our PWDs as part of our impact hiring program. Trainings and processes have refined itself so that we are in partnership with Humanity and Inclusion in Atrieve IT, the School for the Blind, and Hard of Hearing Group PH. It's not something that we try to do on our own. We partner with any organization or any institution out there that can help us achieve this goal for Concenctrix. In 2020 to 2021, up to this year, we have about 14,670 pandemic displaced industry workers that Concenctrix hired. We gave them jobs. These are the folks who were displaced in their respective industries because of the pandemic. We sought them out, provided full-time and part-time or fixed-term employment in Concenctrix for those folks. For PWD hiring, we have about 379 PW staff. And in 2021, I'm so proud to share that Concenctrix became the very first BPO to partner with UP Open University. We provide free contact center online courses. That's about 40 hours of self-paced learning online with assessments for anyone who wants to get basic knowledge of the job. And because it's free, it's primarily intended for those in the marginalized sector. All of those who successfully complete the course will get employment linkages to either Concenctrix or other partner companies of UP. Aside from impact hiring, we are also a leader in gender diversity. There is no gender pay gap from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different industries through experience of their careers. We also have Colors, or the Pride community. It's also a Concenctrix staff group supporting the LGBTQIA+. I think what I'm most excited to share about is how we provide wellness as support for working women, especially for the post-pregnancy phase of their lives career. So we have staff support for that. We have mental wellness, physical wellness, anything that we can help the new mothers. All our offices have lactation facilities for breastfeeding employees. And there's a 24/7 mental health counseling that's available for our staff. We also have calamity emergency loan where the Concenctrix staff comes together and helps out each other so that we provide that level, another layer or level of support for our staff. Diversity is also about the physical being of where you work. We have the largest work at home or remote workforce in the country. We have 55,000 of our staff working safely from the comforts of their home today. We have 53 microsites so that they can go somewhere near, still do their work, earn their living, protect their employment without risking, getting infection as they commute farther from their residences. We also have a lot of corporate social responsibility that's embracing diversity in philanthropy, of course. As I mentioned earlier, there's UP Open University Partnership for the marginalized sectors. We also have about 1.5 million peso donation and skills training to support some beneficiaries. The biggest beneficiary for us is Bigay Buhay Multipurpose Cooperative that supports about 1,000 PWDs today. We also have Techie Seniors, supports about 100 senior citizens trying to learn the ropes on hardware, computers, internet, and online assessments or anything of that nature. UP Open University Pahinungon is a partnership that we have. It's a funding internet connectivity for K-12 indigenous people community in Davao. So that's how we support them out there. The Concenctrix Cares Pledge program lets our staff come together to donate to a ready fund for use in medical calamity, emergency, or educational needs of fellow colleagues or outside communities. we have a partnership where we want to be one of the organizations or the trailblazer organization in growing our economy, our local small to medium enterprises economy. We have 1,000 or 52% of all of our vendors that supports Concenctrix are small, medium enterprises. And that's by design. Concenctrix really explicitly chooses to partner with small to medium enterprises so that we can continuously grow that side of the economy. Just because I'm very, very proud of what we do here, I want to mention a few of some recognition that we've received for all of our efforts. Comparably Global Awards of 2021, we got the 10 Best Company for Culture, Best CEO for Women, Best CEO for Diversity. ICT Awards, we also had the Best Company, Best Employer for 2 years in a row. And it's been a very exciting journey for us to work on our diversity, equity, inclusion projects and how we make our vision a reality and how we put that together with all of these good stuff, right, into something that's real, tangible, and something that our staff and hopefully the communities that we support truly something that they can treasure and live with every day.
Thank you very much, Claire. And so we keep going. Our next speaker is a very high-level senior leader. It is Mark Linsell, the global CEO of the English region for Transcom. This is a large global operation with operations literally across the world. Mark oversees a large region, Philippines, Canada, the United States, the UK, and I think Colombia, some other places as well. In Philippines alone, he oversees 10,000 people. So again, to show you what an important issue diversity and inclusion is, please welcome Mark Linsell of Transcom. Glad to see you, Mark.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, the Asia CEO team, for this opportunity for me to share some thoughts and hopefully some inspiration on how diversity and inclusion, particularly in the BPO industry, has a very significant place, and how certainly in my organization, in Transcom, how it's helped transform our culture, and equally how it's helped to improve connections with our people and with our clients. For us, diversity and inclusion is not just a buzzword. It's much more than a slogan. For me and for my organization, it's a necessity. Along with radical transparency, which is a cornerstone of our culture in Transcom, diversity and inclusion has equally become a mainstay in our organization. It's part of our core mission to put diversity and inclusion at the forefront. And there's a couple of reasons for that, apart from the fact that it's actually the right thing to do. First off, if you look at our gender mix, see within the Transcom organization, particularly here in the Philippines, we've got a high percentage of females in our organization. In fact, at senior leadership level, in excess of 65-66% of our senior leaders are female. And even significantly at rank and file levels within our organization, in excess of 57% are female. There's lots of reasons for that, obviously, in the Philippines. But I would equally say, certainly within the Transcom organization, with our heritage very much rooted in the values of our headquarters based in Sweden, promoting women and promoting diversity in the workplace is something that we've been very, very focused on. One area that has helped us in this endeavor has been our recruitment approach. Very focused on using technology to remove conscious and unconscious biases. And in fact, for all of our rank and file recruitment, the process is fully digitalized, using algorithms and AI in order to do exactly that, to drive the best outcomes, irrespective of gender or sexuality or any other components that I guess more traditional recruitment models might actually be more biased towards. And indeed, at a senior leadership level, one way in which Transcom has worked hard to remove some of these conscious or unconscious biases is to ensure that all senior leaders actually go through EQ and IQ assessments from an external third party. And that's quite important because one of the things that we've done as an organization is to set clear standards in terms of what it means to be a leader in our business. And using particularly emotional intelligence modeling, we're able to ensure that people have the right components to succeed in our business, but also in our industry. Things such as integrity, things such as transparency, flexibility, etc. These are attributes which, quite frankly, are not generally listed in resume, and quite frankly, equally, are not sort of found in one gender or another. These are human qualities and something that we are, again, very, very focused on. Indeed, we clearly have gone many steps further than just recruiting in a way which removes biases. One of the key ingredients, again, for our value proposition or employee value proposition as an organization is the benefits that we provide. In fact, we were one of the first BPOs to roll out HMO coverage for same-sex partners. I think that demonstrates our commitment to the LGBTQ plus community and ensuring that irrespective of one's sexuality, people are treated equally and provided with exactly the same benefits regardless. We've also spent a lot of time and energy and continue to do around our learning and development components in our organization. Not just here in the Philippines, but region-wide, including North America, the United States and Canada, where we emphasize increased awareness on how we build truly a diverse organization, ensuring that leaders within our organization are very aware of truly what their conscious or unconscious, dare I say, biases are, in order to create an organization which is much more reflective of the communities that we support. Indeed, when it comes to our care and engagement activities, we've got a lot of advocacy, particularly here in the Philippines, around HIV and AIDS, and education and awareness, testing, indeed. We, like many other organizations in the BPO industry here in the Philippines, being very visible supporters of gay pride and ensuring that indeed the LGBTQ plus community is properly represented in our organization. That comes through in many facets. That comes through in communication and the way in which we raise awareness with many parts of some of the underrepresented communities within our business, and that includes women issues, that includes persons with disabilities, and so forth. Some tangible areas where we've clearly invested beyond communication include the fact that we have gender neutral restrooms in our sites. All of our facilities, which clearly pre-pandemic were used a lot more than they are today, but all of our sites nonetheless still offer childcare facilities, and hopefully once the pandemic moves to endemic stage, those childcare facilities will be opened up and available to all of our working parents. We're equally incredibly active when it comes to our work in the community around social responsibility. We're advocates for supporting and empowering women, particularly here in the Philippines. Recently been involved with an initiative in partnership with the Swedish Embassy. Particularly important given Transcom is a Swedish-owned organisation. And why do we do all of these things? As I said at the outset, it's the right thing to do, obviously, or maybe not obviously for some people, but at least for me as a leader, these are the right things to do. But actually it makes really good business sense. The numbers actually prove this, whether it's ENPS, whether it's employee satisfaction, whether it's employee referrals, whether it's the numbers around attrition, absenteeism, all of these things really do make a difference, particularly in the BPO industry and an organization like Transcom. I think somebody has said many, many times over the years that culture eats strategy for business. And whilst perhaps you still need strategy in order to succeed, culture really is an important part, a truly important part of successful organizations. And for us, diversity and inclusion is very much at the heart of that. I hope that these few slides and these data points serve as some form of inspiration for many of you that are watching this or listening to this talk today. Once again, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Asia CEO team. Very much appreciate the opportunity to share hopefully some interesting views, data points with you all. Thank you, everybody. Good day.
Okay, that was Mark Linsell of Transcom. And Mark, really pleased to have you showing support for the cause. Yeah, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon and keep up the great work you are doing. And for our next speaker, we have Parul Mehta, the Vice President of Operations for Teletech India. So we really have an international focus. And when I said, that Teletech has a big focus in diversity and inclusion, I can tell you they do. And so pleased to have Parul to give a real international and how things are going in different countries, and especially her country of India. So she operates a large organization there. She previously has a very strong entrepreneurial background. So with an interesting story and a wonderful, sweet person is Parul Mehta, our next speaker with Teletech India. Thanks, Parul.
Hi, my name is Parul Mehta, and I'm the Vice President of Operations at TTEC India. Today, I'm going to talk about the importance of diversity and inclusion from a personal perspective. I was born and raised in a city called Ahmedabad in the westernmost part of the country. I was born in a family with 3 daughters, I being the eldest. I finished my school with great grades and got an admission to an engineering college. That was my first exposure to diversity because there were only 3 girls in my class, of which had 50 students. That is when I realized that women don't pursue certain careers. I met my future husband at the engineering college, and both of us decided to pursue masters in computer engineering at the University of Texas at Austin. He went a year before I did, and then both of us actually took up jobs in the US after graduating. I took up a job at Intel. He was working for Sun Microsystems at that time. That was my first exposure to a very diverse workforce. I saw that people of all color, caste, religion, ethnicity, people from various parts of the world speaking different language, they were all working in harmony for one single goal. And that was an eye-opening experience for me. There was no discrimination. There was no delineation between men and women. We all worked together without even thinking of where we came from. After living in the US for 10 years, my husband and I decided to move back to India because we wanted our family to be raised in India. After moving back to India, we started our own company, a BPO company. And I remember this particular incident where I was actually interviewing candidates, and it was on this particular girl whom we gave out an offer to. And the next day, I get a phone call from her father that he wanted to come and see me. And I said, of course. He and his wife both came to see me. And his question was, what kind of company was this where we required girls to work in night shifts? Now, this was 21 years ago, where BPOs were completely unheard of in India. And I told him that this was a customer service industry and we wanted to provide customer service to companies based in the US. And since there was a night and day difference, we had to actually have people working in night shift. I also convinced him that his daughter would be safe. This would be a very professional environment, and he'd not worry that because I was going to be around working for the same organization. And that is when he felt very safe and satisfied that his daughter will be able to work in a very safe environment. That moment was actually one of those moments where I felt it changed my thinking, my perspective, and the way I looked at corporate world And I made sure at that time that we had our HR policies defined in such a way that it actually encouraged women to work in the organization and provide, we made sure that we provided safe environment for our women employees. That is also when I realized that I wanted more women in the organization, as many as I could, because that would create a great balance in our culture. And it would actually be a great example in the corporate world in the country. India has this very complex social structure, which is based on caste, religion, where you came from, what language you spoke. And I wanted to make sure that all that did not matter in a corporate environment. Of course, I was not going to be a feminist and go out on streets and fight for women's rights. But I also wanted to make sure that women were able to have a career in my organization. We went all over the country to hire people from all sorts of corners, and hiring different people from different parts of the country made me realize that it had created such a nice melting pot, just like the US. And I could see creative juices flowing. I could see productivity was high. I could see people were happy. I could see people had, awareness and had a lot of exposure. And I could see that the culture had become very, very vibrant. After a few years, we decided to open up a center in the Philippines. And that was my first exposure to the Filipino culture. I felt the culture was so vibrant and the discrimination or gender bias was not there at all. I could see that people from all gender, people from all parts of the world were actually able to work in harmony rather than judging them by what they wore or what they were or whether they were female, male, transgender. It was all a personal choice, and that shouldn't matter in a corporate world. For companies, making sure that we provide equal opportunity to everyone allows us to harness the best talent available instead of limiting our scope to a specific demographic. And you never know how a hidden gem can actually shine out in this environment. That hidden gem can end up becoming a superstar. If we look beyond the differences, if we look beyond what that person's appearance is like, I think that is where we need to go. And that is what our goal should be. In 2017, we got acquired by Teletech. And that is when I realized that both companies' values were so similar. And we knew that we could actually build on what we had already built in the last 20 years. I want this culture of diversity and inclusion to be experienced by our employees. And I hope that they inculcate that in their personal life as well. That is how we make a difference in this world. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Parul. And yes, please, that's so interesting about everything that's going on in India and Philippines and so forth. Each country is very different and at very different stages and backgrounds to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So thank you again, Parul. And we have come to the final speaker of the event. It is Jessica Cox. She is one of the world's foremost people with disabilities. She was born without arms, and despite the challenges, she was the first person licensed to pilot an airplane with her feet. She drives cars, she scuba dives, she has a black belt in Taekwondo. She is, certainly a global celebrity. She's been on Ellen DeGeneres, Inside Edition, in the US, CNN, Fox News, on and on and on. She speaks around the world. So she is available for your own organization as well as a motivational speaker. So really pleased to see her part of this event so much. So please welcome Jessica Cox. And really pleased to have her.
Hello, my name is Jessica Cox, and I'm the world's first armless pilot. Yes, I was born without my arms, but I fly planes. And one of the greatest things that I have is my wonderful mother, who was born in the Philippines, and she came to the United States. When she gave birth to me, she really instilled in me the importance of hard work, of not giving up. With God, you can do anything. You know, it was very hard in the beginning being born with a disability and how people reacted to me. So many people told me that I couldn't do certain things, and it made me so angry, so frustrating. Because who's to say what someone can accomplish unless they're given the opportunity to prove themselves? And one of the things my mom was always worried about is how the world would react to me, how I would be able to conquer some of the everyday challenges like feeding myself, like doing everything to be independent. Those were her questions and those were her concerns when I was growing up. But she was also concerned about how the world would accept my disability. And I went to a public school and I was given some wonderful accommodations like a special desk, some special things like a special knob on the door so that I could get in and out of the classroom. And I was accommodated the best way I could so that I could contribute to that classroom setting. And it really set me up for success in life. I went on to college, and when I wanted to pursue my degree in psychology, I also needed to get a job. So one of the first jobs I ever applied to was a job that required making phone calls. And I remember going into this company and being very nervous about the interview, about how people would react to me. Would they accept me? Would they include me in their company? And when I went through the interview process, they asked me all the questions. They didn't ask me about my disability, and I wasn't sure if they were going to reject me for the job opening. But turns out, as I was leaving, I caught a glimpse of one of the other employees who was blind. And seeing that he was working there and he was included was very encouraging for me. I ended up getting the job, and on that very first day, I ended up being one of the most successful callers. So it's interesting how people with disabilities can achieve great things despite some of those expectations that others have about what they can or cannot accomplish. I am fortunate that after college, I was given the opportunity to fly a plane. And who would have thought that someone without arms, someone with a disability could do great things? But again, it goes back to my mom's belief in me that I could do anything, and that she always gave me the benefit of the doubt, that she said that if I worked hard for my goals, I could do them. And I ended up proving that right with the world and showing them that I could become the world's first armless pilot. And in turn, share this message around the world that disability doesn't mean inability. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to speak in 27 countries around the world about inclusion, about how we can be more including of people with disabilities in the workplace. One of the things that we have seen in studies is that employees with disabilities are actually more loyal employees. Another study has shown that companies that include people with disabilities create a more secure environment, a more happy workplace, because those employees who may get a disability at some point in their life don't feel concerned about losing the job. So they create this environment of inclusion, a happier workplace, and as a result, it actually has been proven to increase the revenue of a company. So I encourage you to continue to include people with disabilities in the workplace, to be able to recognize that they do things in a different way, but it doesn't mean that they cannot accomplish it. And it may take a little bit longer, but you'd be surprised at what people can adapt to and what they can accomplish. One of the other points that I share when I speak all over the world is the importance of an acronym I called ACCEPT, and how we can be more inclusive in the workplace. But one of those points I really talk strongly about is the importance of acknowledgement. Acknowledging people with disabilities. Too often, people with disabilities are seen as invisible. And that's unfortunate because there's wonderful things and that they can contribute. And so the first step is to acknowledge people with disabilities, is to understand that we do things in a different way, but disability does not mean inability. The second point I talk about is communication, the importance of asking the question, how can I help you? How can I help you be successful? Sometimes it includes just a little minor accommodation to help an employee with a disability become successful. But it's wonderful how much loyalty you'll experience from them, how they will contribute to inclusion, and how it will really make the company a better place. When I first started flight training, I had to convince an instructor to take me on as his student pilot. pilot. And that first instructor, I remember being on the phone with him and telling him everything I did, that I had a college degree, that I was a black belt in Taekwondo, that I was doing all these wonderful things. And it wasn't until the very end of the conversation when I said, I was born without arms. And all of a sudden it went silent. And at that point, my instructor could have chosen not to continue training with me, but he decided to give me the benefit of the doubt, and he invited me to come out and start my training. And he saw what I was able to do because he was able to be open to the possibility of someone with a disability. I then continued on with my training. I had another instructor who I had to convince to continue to train me. He wasn't convinced until he saw that I could text message with my toes. And when he saw me texting with my toes, he thought that I could perhaps handle the controls of an airplane. And he invited me out to train in his airplane. And it wasn't until 3 years later, actually to be exact, that I was finally able to fly an airplane on my own. And it was the most incredible moment. I remember it like it was yesterday. The toes of my right foot were wrapped around the yoke, my left foot held on that throttle, and I powered up the engine and raced down the runway, and I started to lift off. I was so focused that it didn't even hit me. I was flying the airplane alone. And I went around the pattern and I landed the airplane ever so beautifully. And as I climbed out of that airplane, proving to the world that disability doesn't mean inability. There is so much untapped potential out there in your community. There are so many people with disabilities who want to be employed, who want to contribute to your workplace. They just need to be given the benefit of the doubt. They just need to be given the opportunity. And my hope is that for all of you, when you do have that opportunity to employ someone with a disability, that you will give them the chance and you will help towards inclusion to make this world a better place. Thank you so much and have a wonderful conference.
That was Jessica Cox. And like I said, you can have her at your organization. Just contact her. If you need the contact information, let me know. I'll make the introduction for you. But just a wonderful person and a wonderful story, and really makes you feel like, we got to get everyone involved. So, yeah, so really pleased to have Jessica. Thank you again. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for being a part of this year's Asia Diversity Forum 2021. Really pleased to have you with us. I know we learned about all of you from different sources. And so, a topical conversation piece these days is the COVID pandemic. Everybody talks about it. So maybe we should ask a question, but how did it impact you personally and your initiatives within the organization? Maybe Jeiz, how about you? What's been the impact with you at IBM?
Well, in less than a week from when the first lockdown was announced, more than 97% of IBM Philippines population has been enabled to work from home. And while the logistics of working from home was something IBM was used to, we had to ensure we do it inclusively, understanding the different circumstances of each employee. Women have reportedly lost, in general, globally, $800 billion of income, being disproportionately affected by job loss and burnout in juggling work and parenting. So we had to make sure that we look at those aspects. LGBT plus employees who are not out in their homes are forced to conceal their identity as they work when they have been free to be themselves in the office before. And PWD employees having to adjust to the new ways of working through tools that are not all necessarily accessible. We had to do something. And IBM business resource groups or our employee network groups needed to get creative, mobilize to talk to the community more digitally. We had to make sure that we are connected 18 months into the pandemic now.
I see. Okay, very good. And Parul in India, how about you?
Well, we had a very difficult situation because the lockdown was announced effective immediately and we did not have enough time to pack our systems. I remember we were up till like 3 a.m. in the office trying to box everything up. And there's this policeman who walks in saying that you guys are violating the wall lockdown because it started about 10 p.m. in the night, which was 4 hours ago. And we were still at the office trying to ship all these systems with our team. So, we still, like founders, we still had our company got acquired by TTEC in 2017. We still have that sense of ownership. So I stayed back to make sure that each and every one left the site before I actually went home. And we had to convince the policemen that we were just trying to lock up everything. And it was a chaos. We were trying to ship as many systems as possible on two-wheelers, any vehicle that we could find, and people carrying their own systems on their own vehicle. So it was a nightmare. This went on for the next 2 days. We tried to get a pass from the police department to help us distribute the systems. For two days, we had challenges. Then we finally found some. Then at night, all these trucks were running around. The truck drivers would get stopped because the police would not know that there's a special permission given to these people. So this went on for 10 days. And after 10 days, we had 100% employees working from home. And it was what a nightmare, but it was an exhilarating experience. Our clients were delighted because we were the first partners amongst all partners there that they had to be working 100% from home. So yeah, a lot of learning, a lot of ups and downs, but I was glad that people were able to go back to their homes safely and we were able to work. So we did not lose a single day of work.
Okay, well, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a major topic. Not everyone understands it. Within your own organizations, how do you convince people that this is the right thing for the organization? I mean, it's a right thing for people, but also for the organization. And sometimes, if I can say, I'll speak for some of the older guys, maybe of my generation, who see it as, oh my God, is this another thing we have to spend money for? And it's not going to have any improvement to my organization. How do you promote it from a business perspective? Is it possible to do that? Or is this just something that should be done because it's the right thing to do?
Teletech as an organization, we champion diversity and inclusion within our culture, within our values. Not just in the LGBTQIA plus community, but we also have a lot of employees that are senior citizens, single parents, persons with disabilities like Claire. We also have our director for technology is a war veteran. So we do a lot of initiatives that are geared towards how we can promote more diversity and inclusion in the workplace. These are built into, the annual code of conduct courses that we take as employees of the company, and we make it consistent. We don't just celebrate Pride during June, but we host a lot of webinars that educate our employees on what SOGSC is, what leadership is like for someone who's part of the LGBTQIA+. We do a lot of webinar series specific to this one. And we, of course, come June, we cap this off with a major celebration of diversity and equality in a very, very colorful fashion.
I see. Okay. Go ahead, Gauri.
One of the things that you actually asked was, how do you make it happen? And I guess that's where, as a company, we feel that unless and until we are measuring these things, it's not going to move. And one of the things that we really focus on is that when we are hiring, when we are promoting, when the salaries are being paid out, all these aspects are being looked at. And it is driven by the top leader. And I guess that's where the secret lies, that unless and until the top leader kind of focuses on it, it won't trickle down to the layers. So, and hence we have a very good focus, and I would say that it's very evident in our business planning exercise, in our strategic discussions. It is there, and it has helped us to really bridge the gap. I can say that we were specifically at manager level, just 4 years back, we were in the range of 40s, and now we are in the range of 50s already for women leaders.
Now, all of you do have a lot of interaction, seems to me, with operations and people in other countries, either your home office or your partners in other countries. What would you say are some of the differences with diversity, equity, and inclusion practices and how they compare to Philippines? Are we doing pretty well in Philippines, or do we have ways to go?
From a disability standpoint, since yes. I'm a person with disability, for the Philippines, aside from the BPO companies, I think there is a little bit more of a need to have jobs for PWDs that would make them independent enough to provide for their family despite of having a difference in with their body. And that is one thing that the BPO is very much is doing right now. It provides jobs for everyone like myself that cannot move as much as a person who is normal or a person without a disability. And that's one of the things that I'm thankful for BPO.
The point that Claire mentioned, I think it's quite evident. Also, one of the things is the awareness. If you look at it from a PWD aspect, the ones who have the resources, they are able to get the jobs, but the ones who don't have the resources, that's where I think the effort has to be made in. It is probably the ones who don't have access to the information, and as a community, for us to go out at BPO industry or IT industry, we need to probably reach out to those who don't have those resources and guide them. I think that's where it lacks. The ones who have resources, they are able to navigate their path through to land up in a job. To help our community, we need to probably look at those gaps, which we can probably try to fill.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I guess I just want to add to that, and that is specifically why DEI is a community here in the Philippines. I can confidently say that, where we have different groups or inter-communities that work towards influencing those we cannot change at the moment. By recognizing our privilege as a BPO industry and other industries that are progressive, we build communities. Like, for example, the Philippine Financial Inter-Industry Pride. We have the Philippine Business Disability Network. We have the Women's Inter-Industry Network. And I've had the opportunity to be part of these different communities where we actually go out there, bind as one, and seek where we can make that impact. And that's why I was just very passionate about what Gauri mentioned, because there are mechanisms in place. And like this forum, for example, this is how we'd like to reach those we cannot make the change at the moment.
Yeah, it's a good point. I know there's still work to be done, and there are a lot of good organizations working on this, and we certainly want to be part of that. But I'll tell you, when we first started this, when Teletech approached us and we told some of our partner sponsors and so forth, we received pushback, and we worried whether, there would be some negative consequences for either Teletech or us or so forth. So we moved ahead, but so there's still lots of work to be done. And I know you are at the forefront, but we have to make sure, like G said, that we're helping others who aren't in organizations like yours, especially, that are far ahead of this sort of thing. So we really appreciate all of you being with us for this event. And I'm sure that many people have really, we've helped them and give them inspiration and information on what they can do within their organization. So thank you very much again. Peru especially, joining us all the way from India. And really fine organizations, and keep up the great work you're doing for the future. Thanks again, all. That was Asia Diversity Forum 2021, and I hope everybody learned something and became inspired to do more. You see the opportunities ahead for organizations who really lead this and really make people feel included, all people included in their organizations. There's opportunities ahead both for building beautiful people who will be part of your organization and excel, and for making the world a better place as well. So thank you again for being part of Asia Diversity Forum 2021. We'll see you again next year. Great.